Good morning, guys, and thank you for tuning in again. Guess what? I have something very special for you in the next upcoming month. I'm gonna go over the top 5 craziest ER stories that I've experienced over the 8 years working in an emergency room in New York City. Get ready for some funny, crazy, I can't even believe that happened type stories. So let's get started. Number 5. I pick up a patient and the chief complaint was cut on penis. I was like, okay, all right, this is what we're dealing with today. Maybe it's a bleeding issue, wondered what he cut it with. So I walk in a room and it was him and his buddy. He was in his mid to late 30s and he said he was shaving and accidentally cut himself and couldn't stop the bleeding and needed help with the extra compression. I was like, okay. So as any provider would do, you do a physical exam. I brought in my chaperone. We asked him to take his pants down and then all of a sudden coffee grounds go all over the emergency room. And I just see his package covered in fine coffee grounds. I stopped for a minute and was trying to figure out the thought process behind why you would put coffee grounds to stop the bleeding. And it kind of does make sense. So if anything, it's dry, so it helps stop bleeding, or maybe the effect of caffeine that could cause vasoconstriction that would help the bleeding to stop. I'm not sure. He didn't really know. It was just a thing that his family did over the years and thought that it would help. So I did some research and I wanted to see if caffeine or coffee actually had an effect where it stopped the bleeding. And it turns out that it actually is the opposite, where it causes vasodilation. So your vessels or your veins open up to allow increased blood flow. And it kind of works like a nitric oxide when you talk about with working out and everything. But it does not help stop the bleeding. It's just a theory. It's just a thought process out there, an old tradition that our families picked up. So I went to him and said, sir, you put yourself at an increased risk of infection. So we cleaned off the area and it was not bleeding anymore. So he essentially was cleared to go home. And as I was leaving the room, he turns around and asks me, Miss, so next time if I cut myself, I should not apply coffee grounds. And I was like,
no, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So anyways, in conclusion, if you do cut yourself, please apply pressure. The reason why is because you have your own clotting factors to create that clot to help stop the bleeding. This is without the understanding if you have a clotting disorder or if you're taking blood thinners such as aspirin, Plavix, Coumadin, etc. And at the end of the day, the question is, should I go to the ER to get this stitched up or not? Generally, if the wound edges are open, where they can't come together by themselves and there's that risk of them reopening, or if it's a deep cut, more or less you probably need stitches and or glue.
He is an organ donor. He is, yeah. Give me some ice in a styrofoam bucket. Here we go.
Oh my God! Why? What are you doing?
We search for the organs. Where's the heart? The precious heart.
I'm not feeling well. I need to sit down.
Sit down. Hey, Stanley. Are you okay?
Oh my God.
At ease.
Oh my God.
But if it's just like a little nick or, small like paper cut, just apply compression. I mean, regardless, you should be applying So regardless, you should be applying pressure to control the bleeding while you're getting to the ER. But at the end of the day, do not apply coffee grounds. That puts you at increased risk of infection to that open wound, and that is no bueno. So stay tuned in next week. If this was interesting and you learned something about cuts, share with your friends, subscribe below for the number 4 next week.